Welcome, everybody, to Ridiculously Raw, the most must-see show on YouTube and StreamYard.com today. I am your ridiculously go-over good brother Anthony Florio here, joined, as always, by good old MF Michael Fletcher, the phenom Michael Bullock. Unfortunately, the Twisted Angel, Dee Dee Woodson, the First Lady of the Wrestling Forum, has taken a leave of absence, and because of family commitments and other things, so she should be back with us maybe by the end of the week, maybe, but we'll have to wait and see on that. But Dee Dee Woodson is on a small temporary leave of absence for right now, and we here understand that, and she's in our thoughts and prayers, and we hope that everything works out for her, and she'll be back with us soon enough. But for right now, we're gonna get into Monday Night Raw this evening. Great way to cap off your Memorial Day weekend, and well, was it the best show? No, it was not. But compared to last week, it was far better. Let me tell you that. Last week's show was so bad, I said, we're not doing the show. We ain't doing no show this week. No. But that was last week. This week, newsworthy show, to say the very least. The first thing of note, we had people in attendance. Well, not actual fans. WWE Performance Center recruits, NXT superstars, like what AEW has been doing on Dynamite. We got to see that tonight on Monday Night Raw. Announce table, not on the stage. They moved it to ringside. Very interesting. So those were a couple of the big changes. History was made and so much more. So without any further ado, gentlemen, let's dive right on in to this Memorial Day night edition of Monday Night Raw. Once again, from the Performance Center in Orlando, Florida, exclusively on the USA Network. And we started it off with the Kevin Owens show. And his guest was the Raw Women's Champion, Asuka, interrupted by the three women who are going to be meeting in that big triple threat match: Charlotte Flair, Natalya, and Nia Jax. And then all hell breaks loose after that. And that was pretty much it. So, that was definitely an interesting way to start off the show this evening. I mean, all the hell breaking loose. Wouldn't be the first time we would be seeing KO. But I'll say this, though. WWE finally took AEW's lead, put some wrestlers around the ring to make some noise. It completely changed the atmosphere of the show. The rest of this segment was a series of entrances and short promos. We all knew this was going to turn into a brawl before it even started. It was a standard hype segment for a match happening later in the show. Predictability aside, everyone played their part. Kevin Owens is always funny, and having a small crowd helped him by offering reactions to everything he said. So, just to be sure, gentlemen, do you wanna get into this, or do you want to just move on to our first match of the night? Well, I take it by the silence that they want to move on, so that's not a problem at all. So I gave my thought on it. So, but we're gonna get into this though. Oh, here we go. United States Heavyweight Championship on the line, only fitting because it is Memorial Day after all. Andrade with the beautiful, the sexy Zelina Vega defending against Apollo Crews, a return match to what we saw about a month or so ago. Winner of the match in 8 minutes and 20 seconds, and new United States Heavyweight Champion, Apollo Crews. He wins the title here tonight. 3 stars. I mean, this was a great match from two of the best athletes on the roster. Andrade looked just as good as he always does, but it was Crews who really stood out. He came into this knowing he had to impress everyone to win his first singles title in WWE. he did not disappoint one bit. This was the performance he needed to have in order to prove to himself that he belongs here. His post-match interview was filled with genuine emotion as he celebrated his 11-year journey to this point in his career, and having wrestlers around the ring to cheer his win helped make the moment a little more special. So, a good 3 to 3.25 stars. It was one of the top fights of the night. So, there's nothing more to say. Good old MF Michael Fletcher, come on in. Monsoon, we crowned the new champion. You know what that means.
Yes, indeed. History has been made here at the WWE Performance Center tonight as Apollo Crews captures the United States Heavyweight Championship. Great match, 3 stars. Totally agree with you, Anthony Florio. And it was a good moment. And I gotta applaud WWE for finally adding the talent. You got people at the Performance Center working every day. I think it was about time to bring them in. And you all sometimes you get family that goes down there too. I think you should utilize them. One note to say the reason why that they got the guys at the ring, they got the guys down at ringside is because if you notice at the rampways they installed plexiglass at the rampway. So that was kind of their way of saying that you can't touch the wrestlers or anything else. And also, if you notice, everybody was at least 6 feet apart, so they were in designated spots. I think they did a real good job. I think they handled it really well. And to see Apollo Crews wins the belt, I'm so happy for him. You know, we were all talking about the trade when Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross went to SmackDown, and we heard that the wrestler to be named later was we didn't know who it was going to be. Then we found out it's Apollo Crews, and finally, the raw end of the trade has been beneficial for them as they now witness a title change and Apollo Crews carrying the weight on the trade, showing what he could be, and has actually worked. Now he has captured and has garnered the United States title. But Andrade, we haven't seen the last of him. You kind of have to feel like he's going to try to get the belt back at some point. But Apollo needed the win because he was supposed to be in Money in the Bank, and then the knee injury that knocked him out of the fight, which was so heartbreaking. You remember a few weeks ago just the sheer and utter disappointment coming from all the panelists, from myself, from Michael Bullock, Anthony, and Dee Dee Woodson, how we all were just devastated to hear the news that Apollo could not be a part of the Money in the Bank. This could not have been a better moment for him, rebounding from the injury and now becoming the United States champion. All in all, a great night for Apollo Crews and truly a great moment for Monday Night Raw. Very rarely we see title changes on Raw. This one was an absolute treat, and to have it with even though it was a limited crowd, but it made the moment even that much more bigger. For them to chant "You deserve it," like how the fans would normally do. I mean, it was awesome. It was a joy. Even as a commentator, I enjoyed the moment. So no doubt about it, Michael Bullock. I give it to you.
Yeah, yeah. What a great moment for Apollo Crews. I mean, his first singles title in WWE. I mean, we all kept wondering when is he going to finally get his first um his first singles title? Would he ever get it? And he finally got it, and especially after everything he's been through. I mean, the knee injury that he suffered, which not only cost him a chance to become the United States champion, but it cost him to be in the Money in the Bank ladder match. So you could just see the emotion coming out of him after the match, and yeah. So 3 to 3.25. I do agree. This was definitely a good match, a really good moment for Apollo Crews. So yeah, so there's really nothing more to say. So let's move on, Florio.
Yes, indeed, a well-deserved moment for Apollo Crews, a guy who started on SmackDown Live a number of years ago. 2016 SummerSlam, he challenged The Miz unsuccessfully for the Intercontinental Heavyweight Championship. But man, Apollo Crews can now add his list to the several legends and Hall of Famers who have held the United States Heavyweight Championship. Not just the WWE version of it, but also the WCW and NWA versions of it as well, from Harley Race to Ric Flair, Ricky Steamboat, Austin, Guerrero, and so many others who have held that United States Heavyweight Championship. And now Apollo Crews can put his name on that list. So well done, well deserved. So nothing more to say on that. Let's move on. Then we had a lot of backstage stuff, and then MF's favorite tag team, the Iconics. You know, they had that little dust up a week ago, but then they I guess they patched things up, and then what is this? The women's tag team champions, Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross, they came out, and then all hell breaks loose after that. But MF, the one thing that really stood out in this segment, and I know we're all in agreement on this, Nikki Cross, where did that come from? Oh my goodness! Wow,
She's a Hellcat. She's a Hellcat. You know Nikki. She likes to play.
Yep. Man, what a promo though. Unbelievable. So, did either of you guys want to address that, or?
All I'm just gonna say is that if you give Nikki, or if you kind of, and I know Nikki is a little bit of a screwball and everything else and a little goofy, but the thing is that she's actually a talented worker.
Yes, she is.
And tonight we got to see it. We saw a different side of her that I don't think none of us has ever seen. And trust me, man, inside the ring, she's definitely out there. But outside of the ring, she's articulate. She is actually a really good speaker. I've heard a few interviews that she's done in the independent circuit, and she's amazing. And I think tonight was her coming out. This was really her best promo performance ever. You know, she wasn't the I want to play or anything else. She kind of broke it down in a way that made us feel like, damn, I admire her more than ever before now, especially after tonight.
Oh yeah. And me and Bullock, you know, we had our Raw chat this evening, and we couldn't believe it. We couldn't believe Nikki Cross. I mean, we were very impressed. This was a fantastic segment for the Iconics and Nikki Cross. Alexa Bliss, she had her opportunities to shine, but she stood back and let the other three women carry the interaction. The Iconics and Nikki Cross appeared more passionate and aggressive than we have ever seen. It led to all three of them giving some of the best promos of their careers. The feud started slow, but it's quickly becoming one of the more entertaining storylines on Raw. Let's just hope that this feud does not lead to one of these teams breaking up. The division cannot afford to get any smaller. So,
and that was the one thing that everybody was joking about last week. Well, not joking about, but freaking out last week after the slap had happened.
You especially.
A lot of the fans were freaking out that WWE, don't you dare break up the Iconics. And it was trending on social media last week, basically saying, if you break up the Iconics, you better be prepared, because the pitchforks and the tiki torches, there was going to be a riot, and they were going to converge on Titan Towers in Stamford, Connecticut. I'll tell you one thing. Remember when Baron Corbin threw Rey Mysterio and Aleister Black off the roof? trust me, a few WWE executives were going to be thrown off the roof if you would have broken up the Iconics.
Fair enough. Fair enough. So, and that right there is why they're MF's favorite tag team. That's why. So, but anyways, continuing on here, then we had the VIP Lounge. MVP's VIP Lounge. His guest was the WWE champion Drew McIntyre, and he tried to set a trap for Bobby Lashley to take him out, but yeah, that did not happen. Drew McIntyre came out dominant once again. It was a short and sweet segment, and McIntyre continues to be smarter than the average heel. And I do like the MVP and Lashley pairing. And I still hope that Lashley will get some promo time and will not be silent while MVP does all the talking. Lashley showed back in 2016 in Impact Wrestling that he can deliver on the mic under the right circumstances. And MF and I, we know about this feud very well because you go back to the Slammiversary in 2016, Bobby Lashley rendered Drew McIntyre or Drew Galloway in this case unconscious to win the TNA Heavyweight Championship. So could lightning strike twice again? We don't know. That full Nelson move that could do it. So, but we will address that later on because there was more to that than met the eye. So, which led to a very surprising main event. I'll say that for sure, and then a main event that none of us saw coming. Then we're gonna have some cutouts here. Kevin Owens, his first match since WrestleMania, when he suffered the injury in the match against Rollins, as you know, he went up against Angel Garza, and Angel Garza won the match in 3 minutes and 35 seconds. Biggest win of Garza's career, no doubt about it. It was nice to see an upset win on Raw. If this match had been advertised, most viewers would have assumed that KO would go over. But he was obviously protected via the pre-match attack. But still nice to see something unexpected. So Angel Garza, with the biggest win of his career, defeating Kevin Owens, a man who's been Universal, Intercontinental, United States champions, and a former NXT champion as well. So nice win for Garza, indeed. Okay, the silliness with the Street Profits and the Viking Raiders. Yes, unfortunately, it drags on. You remember back in 2007 when MVP and Matt Hardy had these ridiculous competitions. Well, this is a recycled version of it. They played on a real golf course, but they all got thrown out because of their hijinks. So it got moved to a miniature / putt-putt golf course. The Street Profits won going away. Now, yes, this is a throwaway segment, but something happened on this segment. And I told Bullock about this. MF and I, you know, we've had a lot of funny moments over the years, but there's one funny moment in particular. Whenever an alligator gets involved. And what happened? What did we see at the end of that segment? One of the Viking Raiders was about to feast on a turkey leg. Brother, you're about 6 months early. Thanksgiving 6 months away, but still, we had one of the Viking Raiders with a turkey leg, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, there was an alligator. And MF, you know the little song. I immediately thought of you. What do you like to do when you see an alligator? You know what you love to do.
Hey, Ivar, don't you want to be with this alligator?
Michael Bullock, how do you follow that? I told you that's the little song, the little number that MF loves to do with that. So, yep. The Viking Raider, he found out, oh yeah, about being with an alligator. Oh yeah. So, but that was the only real moment from that aside. So, nothing really more to say on that. With all that being said, let's move on to this. interesting tag team matchup here. Austin Theory, the newest disciple, and Murphy, Seth Rollins in their corner, going up against Aleister Black and Humberto Carrillo. Austin Theory and Murphy, they win the match, 4 minutes and 20 seconds. I know this was a short match, guys, but what we got in those 4 minutes and 20 seconds, it was hella fun. That was some very good action. I could probably give this about 2.5 to 3 stars for the effort alone in this. Wouldn't you guys agree with that?
I can agree. I'll give it 2.5 stars. And the thing is that you got 4 good wrestlers competing. Murphy, Austin Theory, both guys young. These are 4 of the future stars in WWE. These are 4 young guns, as I like to call them, and they really stepped it up. So, no, the match was short. It was sweet. It was straight to the point. I enjoyed it. I loved it. So, yeah, you're absolutely right. This was like a sleeper fight of the night.
Michael Bullock, would you care to elaborate? I mean, we saw this match during our Raw chat, and
I would give it 2.5 stars as well. Even though it was a short match, but the thing is, I mean, you have 4 of the youngest athletic superstars to grace the ring right now on Monday Night Raw. So, to me, I mean, it comes as no surprise that Austin Theory and Buddy Murphy were gonna win this. But then, like, after the match, guys, I mean, we almost saw what we saw 2 weeks ago again.
Oh yeah,
Humberto Carrillo. I mean,
yeah,
he was about to suffer the same fate of Rey Mysterio. Aleister Black tried to put a stop to it, but the Monday Night Messiah said, if you attempt to do this, Humberto Carrillo is going to suffer the same fate as Rey Mysterio.
He's going to be sacrificed.
Yeah, but thank goodness that did not happen. And guys, I mean, if we saw later on in the night, it was announced that Rey Mysterio would have his retirement ceremony next week.
Rey Mysterio will have a retirement ceremony. And in addition to that, there's another thing that comes out of this as well. Seth Rollins and Aleister Black.
Yeah, and the thing is, from that ceremony, I got a funny feeling that something screwy is going to come out of this one.
You feeling that as well?
I'm feeling it as well. Florio?
I am too.
Fletch,
Yeah.
What do you think?
I mean, it's very possible, no doubt.
I mean,
well, find out next week.
Yep, and in addition to that,
Rey Mysterio's been wrestling for a long time, but would he actually really retire? But the thing is, we've seen these things happen before, and I don't know. I just got this funny feeling about it.
Maybe it could be setting up for a potential Rollins Mysterio match. Which
maybe to just get payback on the Monday Night Messiah.
It's very, very possible.
We're gonna have to find out next week.
Okay. Excuse me for 1 second. All right, so we're all caught up with that. Yes, there is a quote unquote retirement ceremony for Rey Mysterio next week. I have my doubts about it, but we'll have to wait and see. But Seth Rollins, 1-on-1 with Aleister Black next week. That's got Fight of the Night written all over it, provided they book it correctly. So I can't wait to see those two go at it. That's going to be a fun match. 2 former NXT champions squaring off. It's going to be great. Edge cuts another brilliant backstage promo. And I love that he's not playing into this awful, greatest match ever hype. In fact, he's telling a story of doubt, which contradicts the ridiculous slogan that sets the bar way too high. Edge continued the trend of great promos from this ongoing feud, though. That I will give him credit for. But anyways, let's let's get into this though. Oh yeah, but the last thing I wanted to get into was that Black and Carrillo against Murphy in Theory. I'm giving it 3 stars actually. It was a fun match that only suffered from not being long enough. The post match promo from Rollins may have been his best work since creating this heel character. Threatening Carrillo with the same injury he inflicted on Mysterio made him appear both dangerous and slightly unhinged. The Monday Night Messiah is done speaking softly. We had yet to hear from the Master of the 619 since he was injured, so that was a nice way to keep that feud going while starting a potential new program with Theory, Murphy, Black, and Carrillo. I'd like to see more of that. So, but here's the big match that we were all looking forward to here. Triple threat match. Charlotte Flair versus Nia Jax versus Natalya. The winner will earn the right to face Asuka for the Raw Women's Championship at Backlash. Winner of the match in an even 15 minutes, Nia Jax. MF, she's not like most girls, the irresistible force. She gets the first shot at our entertaining Raw Women's Champion, Asuka.
Yeah, well, that was really no big surprise. Nia Jax has been basically making a V-line at Asuka since Asuka was awarded the Raw Women's title after winning it at Money in the Bank. And Nia has been the first challenger. She's been the one that interrupted her celebration last week. She's been assaulting Kairi Sane in her fellow Kabuki Warrior member, Kairi. So I mean, it was only a matter of time before Nia Jax got the opportunity. Obviously, you can't do it with Charlotte. Charlotte's the NXT Women's Champion. And with Natalya, it looks like they're trying to book her as basically losing a string of matches, and now her frustration level is starting to wane. As you notice, there is a storyline that basically she tried to have a backstage interview with Charlie Caruso, and TJ, or as everybody knows as her husband, calling her, and she was trying to say that she's not losing control, she's not, everything is fine, the whole 9 yards. So obviously they're going to try to do a kind of meltdown type storyline with Natalya, is that she just all of a sudden she just can't win any matches, and she's starting to bubble over. Her emotions are boiling over. She's about to have a mental and physical breakdown, it looks like. So obviously Nia was the logical choice here, and they served its purpose. This was an excellent match. This was what I'll probably say about 3.5 stars. It was a well done triple threat match, but the outcome was not in doubt. There was a little bit of some doubts with me because I was thinking maybe Charlotte, because this is one of those type of moments that they probably do give Charlotte the opportunity, but obviously it looks like Charlotte has her own storyline on NXT, possibly fighting for the NXT Women's title, and it looks like she might be on a triple threat in her own right down the line with Io Shirai and with the Nightmare, Rhea Ripley. So I mean, we'll have to wait and see how that plays out. This was really good. Michael Bullock, it's all yours.
Yeah, 3 to 3.5 stars. I do agree with the rating on the match. I mean, yeah, I think there was never in doubt that it was going to be Nia Jax winning this, because because we've seen her go after not just Asuka, but her fellow Kabuki Warrior, Kairi Sane. So all signs were leading Nia Jax to challenge Asuka for the Raw Women's title. I mean, having Charlotte win it doesn't make any sense, because she's, like you said, Fletch, she's got her own storyline on NXT, because she is going to be defending the NXT Women's title in a triple threat takeover in your house against the Nightmare, Rhea Ripley, and Io Shirai. Natalya, obviously, they're trying to book her with the problems she's been having, the losing, and obviously with what's going on with TJ. So yeah, there's really nothing more to say. This was a good match. I mean, I thought all three of these women did really well, so there's really nothing more to say. Florio, it's yours.
I think we're forgetting one thing, gentlemen. Fight of the night. That's what this was. This was the fight of the night here. No question about it. 3.5 to 3 3/4 of a star for me. One of the reasons why this match worked so well was because Natalya and Charlotte kept finding ways to keep neutralizing Nia Jax for periods of time so they could fight each other. They are two of the best technical wrestlers on the roster with a long history of producing great matches. Jax being in the mix added some power to what would have otherwise been a technical clinic. This ended up being the best match Jax has had since she returned a couple of months ago. It was weird to see Natalya in this match instead of Shayna Baszler, since the Queen of Spades holds a couple of victories over her, but WWE never brought that up. Jax seemed like the likely winner, obviously, and you had to assume that Natalya was going to eat the fall due to the frustration story that they're telling with her, which obviously will lead to a heel turn down the road. It was interesting that Asuka was cheering for Natty. Granted, she was the only babyface in the bout, but I wonder if Natalya's frustration story will somehow lead to her feuding with Asuka down the line. A lot of things to think about there, but without question, this was the fight of the night. This was 3.5 to 3 3/4 of a star. Well done by all three women. I'm not at all surprised with how good the match was, and I'm also not surprised by the outcome. So Nia Jax will now face Asuka for the Raw Women's Championship on June 14th at Backlash. So with that being said, we move on. Some backstage 24/7 silliness with R-Truth and Rob Gronkowski. Nothing to get into there. They brought in Ric Flair via satellite moment. Nice to see Flair. He wasn't in the building, which was the right move for the safety reasons. And that was a quick and basic vignette that would not have lived up to a couple of hours worth of hype. So that was fine for what it was. So with that being said, gentlemen, let's move right into our very impromptu main event of the evening. It was MVP and Bobby Lashley teaming up against the Raw Tag Team Champions, the Street Profits. Street Profits, they win the match via a disqualification, 11 minutes and 15 seconds. Bullock, I know we usually have the NA rule in effect here, but we technically had an outcome. The Street Profits technically won this match by disqualification, so I don't think an NA rating would be necessary here. So, Michael Bullock, we're going to start it off with you. Your thoughts on the main event?
What'd you say the time of the fall was?
11 minutes and 15 seconds.
Well, obviously because of the disqualification, to me, I can only give this 2.5 stars. 2.25, 2.5, I think, is the correct rating for this. I mean, obviously, no surprise. Obviously, Bobby Lashley wanted to show that what he's capable of, what he could do to Drew McIntyre, and then obviously McIntyre came out, and then we had ourselves a nice little brawl, and some of the guys in the crowd had to come, the superstars in the crowd had to come and try to break it up. So, yeah, there's really nothing more to say. Florio, it's yours.
2.5 to 3 for me. I would have to say this was the third best fight of the night here. Good brawl to close the show. They're doing a good job with the build to McIntyre and Lashley. It started as a tough sell because Lashley has been wasted, criminally underutilized for such a long time. But I'm slowly but surely gaining more interest in the bout with each week of build. And if Lashley wasn't already chasing the WWE champion, it would be awesome to see him and MVP become a regular tag team. They did a great job working together in this bout. Street Profits losing clean while feuding with the Viking Raiders was an odd booking choice. But WWE is working with limited resources, so it may have been the best option they had. Match was solid, and the fight with Lashley and McIntyre helped push their feud a lot more than seeing MVP get hit with another Claymore. Good way to end what was far and away a much better show than that god-awful show a week ago. So, usually holiday shows are usually throwaways, but this is one of the rare times where it was not. And then I was very pleasantly surprised by that. So, nothing more to say. MF, let's get your quick thought on the main event.
Yeah, no, totally agree. 2.5 to 3. That was a solid main event fight. I think there's really nothing more to add about it. And yeah, like you said, that was a nice little brawl at the end. Had all the guys jump over the fence and to try to do a pull away brawl to break it up. I think that was a nice thing to do. So no, I think they did very well. So it was definitely a good main event, and yeah, solid way to close the show. Normally we always say that the holiday specials are always throwaways, but WWE actually made a conscious effort this time around to give us some entertainment, and I think for the most part they genuinely did. So Florio, it's yours.
Yeah, absolutely. So final thought here. Overall, Raw was a better product with the spectator wrestlers at ringside. It was nice to hear some fan-like noise again, a la AEW. Yeah, the show may have felt light on in-ring action with just a single match in the first hour, but most of the segments felt like they served a purpose beyond just filling time. And of course, we had some newsworthy moments. I mean, we saw a history-making moment. We crowned a new United States Heavyweight Champion in Apollo Crews, well-deserved, which is all I can say on that. That was an about time moment there. And what else did I have? And then you also have, the fight of the night obviously was the women's match. I mean, with Charlotte, Nia, and Natty in there. And let me see here. Oh, yeah. This episode, like I said, was much more focused and storyline driven. And almost as if building towards a pay-per-view mattered. And the Polar Part Brawl was great. There's also, but everything with Drew and Lashley hyped me up for that match. Natty, the Natty storyline, continued to take focus. But she helped Charlotte bring Nia into a solid affair with a result we knew was happening anyway. Seth Rollins continues to bring the maniacal Messiah to life, even if the prop of Ray's mask is excessive and makes little sense, all things considered. Raw was a solid affair, a far better effort than that horrific show that we had a week ago, a show that I personally rated 2 out of 10. That's how bad last week's show was. If I had to put a rating on this week's, I would probably have to say maybe 6.5, maybe 7. I think would be the best rating for this show tonight if I was giving it a rating. But main event, the women's match stole the show. Apollo Crews finally gets his moment in the sun. Well-deserved. Big moment for him. A nice history-making moment. A nice main event to close it out. Some other solid things in there. And spectators, for the first time since the March 11th edition of NXT, when they did that show at the Performance Center instead of Full Sail. And we've been doing these Performance Center shows since March 13th with that Friday Night SmackDown. And nice to see that. They're slowly but surely getting there. And I got a good feeling, guys, that it may not be too long before, knock on wood, we actually get actual fans in attendance. That's that's what we're really praying about and hoping for down the road. But much better show than that dumpster fire from last week. So nothing more to say. MF, a quick final thought on this very surprisingly good edition of Raw, considering it was a holiday show.
I think the only thing that we need to wait and see is what are they going to do in the state of Florida, because of the fact that this is the show that they can do Obviously, right now with all the restrictions, everything else throughout the country, there probably will not be any shows in the near foreseeable future of us having, any Raw, SmackDown go outside of Florida. But I think once they start easing the capacity where you're allowed to add more people, then that's at the point where we probably will get more fans to come to these shows. At least they did the first step was getting some people in there, even though it was WWE talent or NXT talent or whatever you want to call it. At least we got them there. I would like to see them, if you're going to do a show from now on, I would prefer that they do it at Full Sail University. Raw, SmackDown, and NXT at Full Sail. Bigger venue, bigger location, bigger audience that you can fit in that vicinity, and depending on how much percentage of people you're allowed to have, that's going to be the be all the end all. To have maybe 25% of audience that you're allowed in the venue. And, then you got to start talking about, the social distancing. How are you going to be able to quantify that, protect the performers, the whole 9 yards? So this is a step in the right direction. WWE and AEW has been able to maneuver this and perfect it in a way. However, they've been getting backlash for doing these shows. If you guys know a guy named John Oliver, absolutely hammered WWE and AEW for doing shows like this during a pandemic. He really went after professional wrestling, and I'm gonna link a video to it to Florio and Michael Bullock, and I'll let you guys hear it for yourselves. I don't know if Derek Ferrera heard this, but I definitely heard it, and I wasn't really too happy with this guy. I thought his comments were a little out of line, but to each his own. This was a 6 out of 10 for me. If we were doing an official rating, 6 out of 10, far better than last week's Monday Night Raw. And yeah, that gives something for NXT and for something for SmackDown to strive for this week. So hopefully we'll get some more fans to watch SmackDown Live. That actually might be even better because look at the matches we already got on tap. Semi-final match, AJ Styles versus Jeff Hardy. And we also got Daniel Bryan versus Elias.
No.
Oh, wait. I messed that up. Did I?
You did.
Elias versus AJ. Hardy versus Daniel Bryan. All right. I went the wrong. I flipped the bottom side of the bracket. That's what I did. I flipped the two guys at the bottom and messed it up. My bad. But we still got two great semifinal fights. So yeah, nothing more to say. Michael Bullock, it's yours.
Yeah, I agree. This show was definitely far and away better than the show that we had last week. And I like what the concept that they were. I mean, starting to have these shows now with a crowd, even though it's talent from NXT, but I think it is a step in the right direction, and I love what WWE and AEW are doing. So, yeah, I mean, could this be a step in the right direction? I mean, to the point that at some point we could start getting actual fans back. We're just gonna have to wait and see. And as I've always said, guys, it's a day by day process. We gotta see how if these cases are starting to go down, how they're gonna be able to, if they're gonna start letting people back into the arenas to have WWE events, if they are gonna be able to maintain social distancing, and they still got a lot of work to do, but I think this is definitely a step in the right direction for WWE. So it gives me some hope, guys. And both of you know where I'm going with this.
Friday night, September 18th, supposedly here at the Dunk.
Yeah, I mean, we can hope for it, but like I said, it gives us some hope. But as I said, we got to take this whole thing day by day.
Indeed.
And if the people in Providence think they can accomplish this, I think we may have a reason to go. But like I said, we still got a long way to go, guys.
A little less than 4 months.
Yeah. So, like I said, let's take this day by day, see how everything goes, and
exactly,
and then go from here. So,
right.
Good show tonight, Florio. Let's get to your Tony steak.
Yes, and we're only going to do last week because 2 weeks on both ends would be a little extreme, considering we canceled last week's show. So, but we're going to get into last week's installments of Impact Wrestling and 205 Live, and we're going to start it off with Impact Wrestling, and we started it off with Ace Austin. This was the number one contenders tournament for the World Heavyweight Championship. Ace Austin against Rhino. Ace Austin wins the match, 10 minutes and 44 seconds. 2.25, 2.5 stars. It was a decent opener that kept Rhino looking pretty good while Ace gets to advance in the tournament. Not spectacular, but there was nothing to complain about, really. Backstage interview with Josh Matthews and Moose. Backstage segment with Kiera Hogan and Tasha Steelz. And then Dave Chris went up against Crazy Steve. Crazy Steve wins the match, 4 minutes and 11 seconds, 2.5 star match. It was a short but fun match that advanced the OBE storyline well and gave Steve a strong return to Impact Wrestling. Triple XL against TJP and Falaba. TJP and Falaba win the match, 10 minutes and 12 seconds. 1 3/4 of a star. Bit of sloppiness. It went on longer than it really needed to. Sorry to say. Moose defending, quote unquote, defending the TNA World Heavyweight Championship against Suicide. Moose wins the match, 11 minutes and 6 seconds. 2.5 star match here. I'm digging the Moose storyline. He plays it to perfection. Moose and Suicide matched up well, and while the ending left something to be desired, it was all in all pretty good. Michael Elgin cuts a great promo like he always does. Some other nonsense. And then Willie Mack defending the X Division Championship against Johnny Swinger. Willie Mack successfully defends 3 minutes and 1 second. 2 3/4 of a star. Short but pretty fast-paced match, and I was entertained by Swinger's antics. And then the main event of the evening, the other number one contender match, the final first round match, Sami Callihan, Michael Elgin. This was the big one. And Michael Elgin wins the match in 15 minutes and 26 seconds. Hands down fight of the night. 3.5 stars. Good main event. Told a decent story. Callihan and Elgin match up quite well. I enjoyed the final few minutes in particular. 6.5 out of 10 for this show. Good solid episode with some decent matches, including a very nice main event between Elgin and Callihan. All in all, a decent show. The only things I know for tomorrow night's show, Cody Deaner and a mystery partner are going up against the North, and the semifinal matches in the number one contenders tournament. I don't quite remember. I believe it'll be Michael Elgin. I believe Michael Elgin's going to be going up against, I believe it's Trey Miguel, I think. And then on the other side, it'll be Ace Austin against Sean Hernandez. So that's really all there is to say on that. So tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern, Access TV, Encore at 11. Watch it on Twitch with MF if you can't, if you don't have Access TV. So nothing more to say. And we got 205 Live stuff again. So we got matches on that, and let's start it off. Danny Burch and Oni Lorcan against Everrise. Burch and Lorcan win the match, 5 minutes, 47 seconds. 2-star match. It was fine. Burch looked good. I was not all that impressed with Everrise, but it was a sub 6-minute match, so they didn't get much of a chance to shine here. Right team won, and that's all there is to say on that. Tyler Breeze against Isaiah Swerve Scott. Isaiah Swerve Scott wins the match 8 minutes and 43 seconds. And the story of Scott being off his game due to his poor showing in the Cruiserweight tournament, that was a good story. The commentary team brought up Scott was a favorite going into his group. Breeze is always solid, works well with anyone seemingly. They didn't get a ton of time, but they did well with what they had. Scott finding himself after taking some heavy blows was nice, and from there they had a fun closing stretch. Small anticlimactic ending, but I enjoyed it overall. 3 stars. And 6 out of 10. Tag match was your average tag match with the right winners and Danny Burch looking good. Swerve and Breeze had a fun story and a closing stretch. Good closing stretch, I should say. And it was an easy watch with a solid main event and an average tag match. So 6 out of 10 for 205 Live. And that will put the bow on this edition of Ridiculously Raw. And we want to thank you all so very much for tuning in. Good old MF Michael Fletcher. Oh boy. Wednesday Night Mayhem. I mean, Timothy Thatcher versus Matt Riddle inside a steel cage. Kurt Angle is going to be the special guest referee. And then on top of that, you've got Kushida, Jake Atlas, Drake Maverick. Winner gets Del Fantasma for the interim Cruiserweight Championship. And I also heard today that Charlotte Flair and a mystery tag team partner are going up against Io Shirai and Rhea Ripley. How are those two going to get along?
Yeah, no, most definitely. And then when you talk about AEW,
big show
on AEW Dynamite, it's the Fallout from Double or Nothing. And yeah, so we got ourselves a very big show. We got ourselves a very interesting night, to say the very least. 10:30 Eastern is where we jump it off. And it's going to be right here on BraceFan 95 on YouTube, and of course right here on StreamYard.com. And until then, guys, have a good night. Anthony, it's all yours.
And Dynamite, let me tell you, MF, what a show Dynamite's going to have. I mean, a battle royale to determine Cody's first challenger for the TNT Championship. Iron Mike Tyson's going to be on the show. Dr. Britt Baker is going to address her injury situation. And on top of that, they're also going to announce the details for the Fyter Fest event. As MF reported on our show last night, on our recap last night, Jon Moxley will defend the AEW World Championship against the Machine Brian Cage with Taz in his corner as part of Fyter Fest. So no word. I mean, is it going to be a pay-per-view event? Is it going to be on Dynamite? We're just going to have to tune in and find out. So that all goes down Wednesday at 10:30. Wednesday Night Mayhem with MF. And then Friday night, Cerebral Smack Talk, also with MF. Same time, 10:30. Friday night SmackDown. And then we'll take it from there. So until Wednesday night for Wednesday Night Mayhem, it's your ridiculously over good brother Anthony Florio here. Signing off for good old MF Michael Fletcher, for the Phenom Michael Bullock, and in spirit, Didi Woodson. And as well as always and forever, Derek Ferrera. You know the routine, everybody. Thumbs up. Talk to you later. Yeah, throw it up, watch the 4 style. Bye for now, my friends. God bless. Be good to each other. Have a blessed couple of days. And until Wednesday night for Wednesday night, watching Ridiculously Raw right here on Zone 25 on YouTube and StreamYard.com. And remember, my friends, no matter what anyone tells you, wrestling is indeed actually real. For everybody who's been a part of this one for now, and they play us so long. Bye, everybody. Bye.